will be followed during the public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point and will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes in length. The order of the presentation will be administration first, any those in favor of the bylaw, those opposed to the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw 02-2025 amending land use bylaw. Council may ask questions of speakers for each presentation for clarification purposes. The public hearing purpose is to receive comments from any interested parties on the proposed bylaw 02-2025 amending land use bylaw. There will be no debating of bylaw 02-2025. Interested parties are only permitted to speak once at the public hearing unless asked to answer a question directly.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. The purpose of bylaw 02-2025, amending land use bylaw, is to prescribe and regulate each district for the purpose of which land and buildings may be used. The proposed amendments to the land use bylaw will change Lot 3-9, Block 66, Plan 162-1368 from single detached residential district R1 to a medium density residential district R3 indicated on figure 1.1 of Schedule A. Lot 27-33, Block 65, Plan 162-1368 from single detached residential district R1 to medium density residential district R3 indicated in figure 1.1 of Schedule A. Lot 13, Block S, Plan 802-0134 from Highway Commercial District C3 to High Density Residential District R4 indicated in figure 1.2 of Schedule A. First reading was given on February 24th, 2025. Notice of this public hearing was advertised in the News Advertiser for 2 consecutive weeks on March 5th, 2025 and March 12th, 2025. The public hearing was advertised on all of Town of Vegreville's social media channels. Copies of Bylaw 02-2025 were available for viewing on the town's website and available for pickup at the town office.
Okay, does the administration have any comments?
Actually, Your Worship, yes, I do. Attached to the agenda in 4.2 is a petition against rezoning of Foxview Estates. A petition against rezoning of Foxview Estates was submitted to the Town of Vegreville on March 20th, 2025. This document was received by the Chief Administrative Officer in accordance with Section 225, Section 1 of the Municipal Government Act. The Chief Administrative Officer is responsible for determining if the petition is sufficient. After reviewing the petition, administration has determined the following. The MGA Section 223, Subsection 2, Subsection A, states that a petition must be signed by electors of the municipality equal in number to at least 10% of the population. Vegreville's population, according to the 2021 federal census, is 5,689, meaning that a sufficient petition would require 568.9, so 567 signatures. The number of signatures on this petition is 174. Section 222 of the MGA states that only electors of a municipality are eligible to be petitioners. This means petitioners must be a minimum of 18 years of age and residents of the Town of Vegreville. Administration has determined that 4 of the addresses listed for petitioners are commercial addresses and will be excluded as petitioners. According to the MGA, Section 225, Subsection 3, Subsection C, in account the number of petitioners on a petition, there must be excluded the name of a person whose printed name is not included or incorrect. Administration has noted that 2 of the petitioners are unreadable and 10 are in cursive, excluding 12 petitioners. Further, section 225, subsection 3, subsection D states that if street address or legal description of land of a petitioner is not included or incorrect, the petitioner will be excluded. Administration has identified 3 incomplete street addresses. The conclusion of administration is that the 174 signatures included in the submitted petition, 155 signatures are valid. In accordance with section 226, subsection 1 of the MGA, the Chief Administrative Officer must make a declaration to Council on whether the petition is sufficient or insufficient. Given the requirements of the Municipal Government Act, this petition is declared insufficient.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so next up is those in favor of the bylaw. I take it there's nobody here in the room that's in favor of the bylaw, so we'll just move on to the next one. So we're going to have our delegations, and Mr. Burwawa, I guess you would be first up.
I'm actually going to defer to Travis first.
Okay.
Is that okay if I go first?
You go ahead, Mr. Wojcik, you can be first.
The mic, can I take it?
Both of you push the button and the little red light will come on.
How's that? Good?
Good.
Excellent. Well, good evening. Thank you to Council for the time and opportunity to speak today. Just a quick intro. I built a home with my family in 2023 in Foxview. We bought those lots from the town of Vegreville, as I'm sure many of you know. I think it's important to start by expressing that I completely agree that with the need for more homes of every price range within the town of Vegreville, and the overall motivation for the project that's driving the rezoning under this bylaw. However, I, along with others, do need more information to fully understand the urgent need for rezoning the current R1 space. On the surface, this bylaw does seem short-sighted. It seems rushed. It's a drastic change in planning and vision from a town that has ample space already zoned R3 through its planning and development group. When comparing this change to the town's current development plan, this change also feels more like an opportunistic business transaction versus ensuring the long-term interests of both present and future residents. I believe the 155, I believe the 155 valid names submitted on the petition to the town does speak volumes about how the current residents of Northwest Vegreville feel about this proposed bylaw. I do have just a few quick questions for Council that I think would help residents understand the need. My first question here that I have is, what was the town's initial zoning plan and vision for this area? Why the drastic change from R1, single-family residential, to R3, medium-density residential?
What was it originally before it was all DC?
What was the vision?
Yeah. It was all direct control. That whole parcel of land out there was direct control.
So this R1 space that is now, just to be clear, who is driving the need for the change from R1 to R3? Is it the developer or is it the town that's driving the change?
Well, I think it's the needs of the community is what's driving it. And when we get to the reading of the bylaw, when you see what it costs and the numbers, but we're not here to debate you in a hearing.
Okay.
That's not how the hearings are set up.
Okay.
But you're more than welcome to stay, and that information will come out when we're talking in the second reading.
Okay.
About where we're at and why R1 is not working.
Okay. Okay. Some of these other questions might be in the same realm, so feel free to let me know if that's going to be covered in the next piece. So in that direct control that's further west of where Foxview is now, there was never any planned R3 space in there. Is that correct?
We had at one time, we can't even find the original drawings from what the zoning was supposed to be for Barrasso. I mean, it's 40-some years ago, easily 40-some years ago. So when we took it over 30-some years ago, we just zoned it DC, direct control, and we've never had anybody that's ever approached us about that property.
Okay. Can you explain the project that's driving the rezoning at all? Like how many units? I guess, would be my main question. How many units are we?
Well, I guess when they apply for a development permit, Mr. Roja,
Yeah.
we'll go through the process, and if their development permit and the setbacks and all the parking that is needed, and everything that anybody that's trying to build anything in this community has to do to receive a developing permit. Right now, to move forward, the request is if it was zoned this way, then we could expect some future growth there.
Okay. On the town zoning map right now, there looks to be several R3 locations throughout town already allocated for this purpose. I would assume rezoning existing space would be a last resort. I could be wrong in that. My question is, we have all this R3 allocations. Have they all been assessed and considered by the developer in the town? If not, why has the town not asked that question?
We certainly have. I mean, if you think that we haven't done our homework, please, and I hope that's not what anybody in this room thinks. You know,
So,
I mean, when we get to the questions in your petition on each individual zoning that's R3 right now, I'll be more than welcome. Glad to tell you why those properties do not work.
okay. Yeah, it just brings me to the development plan that I keep getting caught on. The town has a development plan, they have a zoning plan, and it seems like, why do we have a plan at all if it's simply to rezone wherever makes most financial sense for the developer or the town? That doesn't seem like much of a plan. You can see how this would seem unfair to residents in the area when we make this change, residents who have made commitments, spent money in those areas. So that's where I'm going with that. One important one, would council agree that with Foxview Estates now 100% filled and other subdivisions throughout town near a full capacity, that there's also a need for more R1 service lots?
Okay, so Travis, we're getting close to the 5 minutes. Sorry, Mr. Wojcik, we're getting close to the 5 minutes. I would answer that 60th Avenue over there seems like R1, but what we're really seeing right now with the lack of a builder in town to build anymore in R1 and what the community's needs are, but we will be doing planning on 2 different subdivisions in the near future is what would be expected. So if you have any more questions, and I hate to do this to you, Mr. Wojcik.
So the 5 minutes includes your time too, the answers? Okay.
You can,
To me, it seems like we're
we're
solving
not even
one
supposed to
problem.
answer questions. I'm here to be as upfront and open as I possibly can with everybody. So, but a lot of your questions are going to be redundant and they're going to be answered in when we get to the council has its time to tell you why we're doing this.
Fair enough.
That was not a question about where the rest of the R1 will be.
It seems like we're solving one problem and creating another. There's not enough R1 in town, is where I'm going with that. It's currently zoned R1. There's obviously a demand for R1. It seems pretty counterproductive to change R1 at this time to R3 because...
Okay, so you made that statement, and we seen for 2 years...
I assume council
nothing
will...
happened,
Yeah.
It's zoned at R1, but...
2 years
we did
is a
hold our
long time
ground.
in a develop...
Huh?
Council will answer my questions, I assume, for the rest of it, so I have no more questions. My 5 minutes is up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roy, you would like to have 5 minutes.
Thank you. We were told that our 5 minutes did not include the responses from this.
Well, actually, if you were listening when I started this,
I know we were
I would
advised.
ask after your presentation if council had a question on your presentation. That's the way it works. But that's not really who we are.
No, fair enough. We were advised differently.
We're not here to be, you know, not to answer your questions or not to give you what our feelings are. But there will be time where your questions will be answered from your petition. But if you're coming up here with just full questions right now, this is your opportunity to state your case.
Okay. I phoned and I spoke with Sandra Ling on Friday, and she said that we can ask questions and the answers do not count for our 5 minutes. So that's why
Is that the case?
stated that you had 5 minutes for your presentation. If there was any questions from council or any comments, those weren't included in the 5 minutes. This, it's a presentation, not a question and answer.
Yeah, this is not for a debate. So if you want to go ahead.
That's fine. So lots of our questions are regarding, or the misunderstandings, where we're trying to get at is some of the things that are identified in the petition. So it's almost like we should go through those first before I have the because, yeah, again, you said it's going to be redundant, and Travis said the exact same thing. So why don't we go through those pieces first so that I don't have to stand up here and go, we're going to talk about this later, we're going to talk about this later, we're going to talk about this later, and we're not getting an answer. Does that make sense?
Well, you know what?
Is that possible to change the order so that that way I'm not asking some questions that have already been answered or that will be answered?
You go ahead.
Sorry, and maybe this is, I'm thrilled to see you all here. I'm sorry it's because perhaps you're upset and concerned. We're restrained by what provincial legislation gives us as the prescribed format to do a public hearing. So it's very restrictive about what we can say or not say. In fact, right now, I'm not following the rules. By speaking out of turn, the mayor chairs the meeting, and a public hearing is basically to hear from the public what your perspectives are and for us to listen. The separate process, which happens in the meeting following this, is listening to the commentary of council with the advice and guidance of administration to be able to make a decision on the bylaw. So it doesn't feel very satisfying potentially to be able to have your questions answered, which is why, you know, calling one of us separately from this gathering is sometimes more productive or feels more productive from your point of view because we can actually have a conversation. So it will feel potentially like you're not having an opportunity to say all the things that you want to because we're very bound by our process. And it's not a process that we've created, it's a process that's decided by the province. So.
With all that being said, Mr. Robo, go ahead and start with what you have.
Can I have 2 minutes to re-amend some of this because,
How long is your presentation?
well, no, with feedback, my presentation, but I need some answers. That's what we're looking for. So I guess I will proceed the same way that Travis did, and if you guys have questions that are redundant, then they're redundant, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So thanks for the clarity that you've shed so far on some of these questions. I guess we're trying to still figure out what are these developer plans, but if the developer hasn't submitted any plans, then I guess that speaks volumes as to why is it that we need to change an R1 to an R3 if there's no plans in place. Now, our understanding is that there are plans in place because at October council meeting, that developer talked about putting 40 skinny units in 14 lots that are there. So for you to say that there's nothing in place, fine, maybe nothing's been submitted, but there are some things that we can speak to on that, or at least that was what was planned. We would still like answers to where all these R3s, what the plans are for all of those, and why those can't be used. And we don't have any R1 subdivisions left now that somebody can't come to Vegreville and get more and build their dream home like you have advertised in Foxville, where you have not advertised any other sections of town. I would like to ask, is this rezoning of lots going to cost Vegreville taxpayers any money?
On the rezoning? No, the surveying will be done by the developer, and the internal cost will be given. We will not charge, when we see what the drawings are, how many lots it's going to be divided into, we will do it internally for them.
Okay, and so there's no costs for the services to be put in or a road to be put in, that it will be payable by Vegreville taxpayers?
No, unlike the first phase one, it will not be subsidized by all the taxpayers and businesses in the town.
Okay. The lots that were identified in Bylaw 02-2025, has there been any updates to the land use bylaw map since December 2024? Because that's what advertised on the website.
I'm not
Can you
sure.
speak to that? That's our latest, is on the website. So the east side of the road on 55th Street is R1. The west side is direct control. So the lots that have been advertised all as R1, in the lawyer that I consulted earlier this week said that that actually voids the proposed 02/2025 bylaw because the town is falsely advertised in their proposal, as well as notice and information in the paper. And because we quoted the Municipal Government Act earlier, Section 692 4C identifies that the town needs to notify adjacent landowners by way of mail or something like door hangers, whatever, physical copies. And according to any of the conversations that I have had with any adjacent landowners, of which some are here tonight, this was not done.
Okay.
What else here? I would also like to know, is there anyone on town council that has a personal financial interest in this development going forward? The reason why I'm asking this is to look for any conflicts of interest in the voting that's going this forward. So is anybody personally going to benefit from this development going forward?
We couldn't be here if we had any pecuniary interest.
I understand that.
We have to declare.
That was a nice one. Really nice, Mr. Rowalla. Thank you for that.
I want to clarify these things.
Yeah, of
okay?
course you would.
So, all right.
Okay, we're getting
and-
close to your 5 minutes.
Perfect. Last question, what provisions are being put in place so that this does not turn into the Inca deal from Prosperity Park? To our understanding, the town rezoned and amended some lots, creating like a 20-acre lot, cost taxpayers $700,000. And then these guys walked away. The town didn't get a dime, didn't have a signed contract. We're asking for some transparency this time around to go, what is being done in place so that this doesn't happen again?
Well, I have no idea where you're getting your number about Inca. And we just had Inca in the other day, and we have had many offers.
We've had-
and interested people. All we have to do is prove that we can supply some housing in our community to bring this industry here. So,
So from April 2022, which is almost 2 years, when you guys went public with that, nothing has happened.
well, they haven't purchased the land. Is that what you're asking?
Okay.
That has not happened.
And yet we amended lots for them without any type of a security put in place.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we are trying our best to invite industry here so that our schools can stay open, so they're not closing any schools. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay. And that didn't cost
You have
taxpayers?
anything pertinent with this land use zoning right now, Mr. Rowalla, that you'd like to bring forward?
No, I'm all done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're down to correspondence.
Yes. So to date, there are 3 written submissions that have been received. There is 1 in favor and 2 opposed of the subject matter of the public hearing.
I don't have them.
Okay. So the first piece of correspondence comes from Patrick Sung regarding the proposed amendment to Land Use Bylaw 11-2019. We are residents in the neighborhood. We are opposing the proposed change bylaw number 0225, 2025 on lot 2733, block 65, plan 162-1368. This land should remain single detached residential district R1.
Patrick, you're in the room? Yes. Do you want to tell us why you feel that? You can step up to the mic, Patrick.
Thank you. Well, I think most of you know me, and I know most of you, so I don't have to reintroduce myself, but I have no questions. But I want to tell you what happened, because I know what happened 40 years ago when I phoned the town, and they say, oh, all this park is bigger than it was, and all the houses here are zoned for single-family homes. So, what happened? Well, I just tell you what I feel. Can I do that?
Certainly could.
Good enough. Okay. 40 years ago, I graduated from medical school, University of Alberta. I ran into Dr. Kuzik. Dick, He said, well, we can use a doctor in Vegreville. I said, well, Vegreville is 1 hour away from Edmonton, close enough to my in-laws and far away enough for my in-laws. They're going to ask me to bring eggs, but I can certainly go there and paint the fence. So I said, well, sure, I try. So when I first came, I rented a fourplex, and I was away by myself. My wife was in Edmonton with my little Maria, for 6 months. It was hard. But after 6 months, I said, you know what? I like Vegreville. I like the people. People like me. You know why? They come to see me. So I said, well, I have to convince the other person to come. So I talked to her, and then she said, sure, I can try. So she actually gave up her job, and she moved back with me. And probably she got pregnant with Victoria. I said, well, after 6 months, I would say, well, she likes the town, she likes the people, and people like her. So that's the moment we decided to stay. So either we buy or we build. So we decided to build. And everybody said, build on the south side. I said, okay, I go and look, and yeah, the houses are nicer, they're bigger, they're more prosperous and everything. But there is one thing called 5401 60th Ave. There's a park behind there. I like to park. In those days, there was very modest home in that district. We even have a rental house just built for that. This is for rental. But it's like, who cares? I like to park. My kids are going to go out there and play. So that's what we did. We built a house and we stayed, All these years, twists and turns and everything. Eventually, I retired. And one day, I talked to my daughters. I asked them, how do you feel growing up in Vegreville? And Victoria summed it up in 2 words. So fun. I said, fun? I said, no, so fun. I said, okay, fine. So, since we retired, my daughters once in a while will ask me, they say, when do you move out to Edmonton? You are closer to us and you don't have to keep driving on the highway. I said, we like where we are. We're not going to move. And the district, we know because we were there more than 40 years. All of a sudden, about 2-3 years ago, somebody comes and develops all those lots. I said, okay, fine, wasn't moving. Because they're asking for lots of money, like $125,000 a lot. And I said, holy shit. I said, there's a lot of money. Nothing happened. And then there's a two-lot house and a big 3-lot house. I said, oh, that's even better, less traffic. Maybe even raise my value of my home, And then nothing. And then all of a sudden, these people come and they're digging in the snow. They're pouring cement at minus 30 degrees. I said, this guy really mean business, Look, all the houses coming up. Okay, fine. And then I read on the news advertiser, and there is they're going to develop that area and turn it into the medium density homes. I said, this guy really mean business. Now, it's not someday that you will get somebody comes and invest $10 million, $20 million. Imagine the property tax you're going to collect. That's enough to support 2 jobs. I say, well, I don't mind. However, the way it is set up right now, I'm not against development. But the way it's set up right now, there is only one big winner, the town. As soon as those houses are built, you collect your property tax, great. The developers, the way they set up, they actually connect the BC area with the quiet area. That might bring down, they make it harder for them to sell the single-family homes and command a lower price. If they have somehow, I'm not against it, but if they somehow separate the quiet area from the BC area, so they make it easier for them to sell and also may even sell for more, the BC area can still get access to the park. Remember, the park.
Yes.
I went there to Paul Park.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sung. 5 minutes is up, but
thank you.
What you're trying to say, you don't support the change, or
I got nothing against that. I do believe that there is room for improvement. Because the town needs. The town grows. You get revenue. It's good for everybody. I agree. you know. But you can maintain the quietness on our neighborhood, and also give them access to the park, because I think the reason why the developer comes in, they only want to build around the park.
Well,
I'm sure
for
they
young
don't-
families, it is very attractive. If you're trying to get young
It
families.
is
for sure.
attractive because it was attractive to me.
Yes, well, hopefully maybe Maria and then your other daughters can move back and buy a house here too.
Oh, I
So.
doubt it. They have boyfriends.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for listening to me.
You bet.
Okay.
Okay, so Sandra, we have 2 more letters?
The second attachment is the actual petition,
Okay,
okay?
and we'll address that during the second reading.
That's correct. And then we have the third attachment on the agenda is the letter in agreeance for rezoning of lots to R3. It says, "Hello and good evening to all the interested parties. I have put together this letter of positive things the rezoning of these lots will bring to our community. I believe that it's a good step forward in future development that the town has shown interest in wanting our population to grow and in ways to make that enticing for developers to come to our community. For years now, our community has been in high need for more housing. Rezoning these lots brings up the potential for many homes to become available that are move-in ready at a price first-time home buyers can afford. There are many current R3 zone lots already mixed amongst the single detached homes R1 zoning. Addresses have multifamily homes amongst R1 zoning include 5505 50th Street, 5725 50th Street, 5536 50th Street, 5146 49th Ave. There are many more amongst these examples. Having multiple different kinds of homes in neighborhoods has not affected the quality of living. Other factors to consider: the average age of homes currently listed for sale is 1963, a 62-year-old home. Homes of this age need renos and are not typically move-in ready. Typically, homes that are built in the 1960s are dated and not as modern as people would like them, making them not move-in ready and having to afford costly renovations to move into the home. This makes our buying market less desirable than other communities if we had more brand-new builds, including row homes. This would bring in the potential of new homeowners to the community. Numbers of homes currently listed for sale: there are 26 homes currently on the market. Currently, the rental vacancy rate is at 0. The rental market in town desperately needs more homes. There is also more people looking for permanent accommodations in town than what is currently available. This means we are unable to grow the town economically without these homes being available to grow population. Without having homes for families to move, we cannot grow the economy. Infrastructure and business cannot grow if we do not have the capability to house more population. Homes built similarly to city homes will draw in city people to grow population as there's comfort and familiarity. Having modern-looking homes that are within range of first-time home buyers helps our town thrive and grow for the future. People currently living in motels cannot find homes they can afford. As more homes are built, the potential of less unhoused people in our town, as more homes are built, the potential of less unhoused people in our town there are. While I understand that R3 zoning does not guarantee rental accommodations, it is a potential. Lots owned by the town proposed for rezoning are serviced. As it's very expensive to service lots, rezoning lots already helps keep taxes down. Lots owned by the town gives developers more chance of buying bundled deals. As lots are already zoned R3 are privately owned, this sometimes makes it hard for developers to keep their costs down. For example, if a developer could buy lots for $30,000 each from the town as a deal to help make the town thrive, or if they had to buy them privately for what some may say are worth $100,000 each. This would make each potential unit cost significantly and more potentially making developers not come to our town to help it thrive. Even with all these positive points I've put forward in regards to zoning, these lots are 3. I do understand that it does not mean there would be automatically be row homes put on it. All that rezoning will do is help our town look like a positive prospect for a developer to come to town and help our economy and population grow for the betterment of us all. Signed, concerned town citizen, knowing we are in desperate need of housing of all kinds. Tracy Clark.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other written submissions?
No, Your Worship.
Does members of council have any other questions of admin or of the presentation that was given here today? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Of the lots that were in the petition of the other zoned areas, I'm not quite sure which ones do not have services of some of the listed.
Of the petition, the south side, there is lots for sale at the end of 51st Street. There's 20 lots for sale. Those do not have services. This is south side, East Vegreville near Bruce Road. That is, that Southern Heights development that is not fully serviced. West side of Vegreville, near Vegreville Composite High School, that is the one that is that 5 acres that's directly across from the CPC apartments. That is not serviced.
We have no area structure plan there neither.
No. South
If you
side,
want, I plan on going through
Sorry.
all this,
That's fine. That'll be fine.
just so everybody understands that, of course, we did our due diligence. We're not all idiots. Doc?
My name was on one of the ones on the petition. Can I talk at all in regards to 1 point?
No,
Because I'm part of a written submission.
no. You had to put your name on there earlier.
I was. I am. I'm on the petition that was submitted, so I'm part of the written submission.
Well, you know what, Dan? If you want something to say, go ahead. I mean, typically, you had to be on the agenda. You had to have your name on the agenda, but Dr. Sung spoke. You go ahead.
Dr. Dan Fisher, I've been here for 29 years, and in that time, I've built 3 structures here. I built my house, my first house here. We built a second house. I built my clinic here. And I see that we have the potential for having, let's say, an apartment building going behind my property. And I have no problems with that whatsoever. When I've done my 3 properties, Dale was part of the landscaping that I had to do, and they were very adamant of my slopes and everything going through. They were adamant of the concrete that I used on my sidewalk. I had to build a sidewalk in front of my office and then donate it to the town instead of the town paying for it. I had to give it to the town and they'd take care of it. When Dr. Sung mentioned that all these new houses were being popped up, I was quite impressed, and I went over and looked at them, and the concrete went in really quickly, and it wasn't covered in -20. The sidewalks were put in very quickly, and I drove by, and next day the forms were knocked off, and they weren't covered in -20. So I have to follow the guidelines, and I'm quite concerned that we see these stuff being done.
I'll stop there. The sidewalks report a few years ago. Those sidewalks aren't new.
So, okay, sorry, my mistake. Pardon me?
Yeah, and
Sorry. Sorry.
we're not about.
No, but.
This is a public hearing.
I know, so when
about
we.
zoning. We're not gonna get in to how somebody built
No,
their
no,
own
no.
home.
No, I'm
how
not-
someone else chose to build theirs.
Can I
so-
speak, please?
Okay.
So when we have to follow things that the town follows, and we know that there is the walls were put up at a -20 that wasn't, and it was alerted to town, then town has the obligation to step in. And you have people say, I've driven by other town people that were in the area, saw that they weren't properly frostwalled, yet you allow them to go forward. And when the inspector comes back, they get a report saying they were done properly, but they weren't. So if I have to build all my properties, I'm worried about if something builds behind me, that they don't get the level right, that my parking lot floods again, where when I built my property, I had to have a certain slope of my concrete or of my asphalt, which I did. We gave the DALE and it was approved, yet the town put in dirt in the back alley, which flooded my lot, and we had to ask the town to come and remove it. If these walls were built improperly, it negates home warranties. So what does the town do if you know that something was done wrong? Do you just say, sorry, we have a piece of paper that was done right? Or what does the town have so we actually have good houses being built in Vegreville rather than 15 years from now not having the quality homes that you're hoping to put out? So my question is, how is the town standing up to, if we have things in place that were supposed to be done and they're not being done, where's the town's teeth on this whole development? Because I don't want the development. My kids were thinking about coming back here. I have one child living here. We've gone over there, but if the slope is wrong, then the next house is wrong, and the next house is wrong. So the main thing is that can change your whole landscape of your development. So that's my question. If the town knows there's something that's wrong, what are you doing about it?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Huh? Do you like a question? Okay, go ahead.
I'm probably the one that's been living out there the longest. We built our house in 1979, right by Foxview. When we built our house, Brasseau was doing the work out there. The lot straight north of me, south of Cole's place, was zoned as row housing, 33 feet wide by the 150 feet long. That was the original design for that. Those row housing would have been there right today. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Brasseau did not finish the job. But that's what that was designed for back in 1979. So somebody approved it back then to be that. So, and I was like you, concerned, but that's the way it is.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lunko. Mrs. Raleigh, you would like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. I think it's more just sort of confusion as to when I'm supposed to speak and not supposed to speak, so I may as well just say something now. Amongst your own discussion and voting or whatever is going to happen tonight, is there some compromise with why do we have to rezone the entire section? Could there be a compromise in terms of ending the estate area with a dead-end portion? And again, you'll see the picture in the presentation that will come up. I just didn't know if I had to bring it up now. If there's a compromise as to leaving some of those lots as R1 and one of them as an R3, the addresses that the letter had written in, those are R2 sections that were plunked amongst R1 housing. Is there conversation about maybe something being an R2 instead of an R3? Just things to consider. Again, there's a picture that we had given in the presentation to Sandra that would illustrate that. Also, when we're talking about affordable housing, I don't even know if this is it, because when we talk to people about the $300,000 slim houses that they want to move into, they're saying, well, we don't want this. We want a yard, we want a little house for $300,000 that is new. So again, with such a substantial amount being rezoned to R3, could we start small? If it's successful, this developer is going to be back. Again, it's just a consideration, because do we think they're going to sell the way we think they are? The people that want these $300,000 homes had their hopes up, and when they saw this, they're a little bit shocked. That won't get the people out of the rentals to get our unhoused people into the rentals. I think that was it. That's all I had to say. Again, I'm sorry if this was not the appropriate place to say that.
That's fine, thank you. Okay, at this time, I will close discussion, and this public hearing is closed at 7:15. So Jameson, you need a 5-minute break to switch over between meetings? Is anybody on,